This video is brought to you by Sega Night Kevin Plus. When Silicon Valley inevitably erases me from YouTube, you can find all my videos, including the censored ones, over at SegaNightKevin.com/SGK+. See you there. Ladies and gentlemen, here we are. It is a brand new year, which means everything is better, everything is fixed. There's something special about a new year that changes everything. I don't know where I'm going with this joke. Sometimes I even confuse myself with my sarcasm. So long, 2020. Good riddance. There's nothing special or different about it, so why am I even making the joke? I never really know how to start a video. That's my big secret and my big New Year's revolution. My big New Year's revelation. Revelations 2021. I'm just a fraud and don't know how to start videos. Wonder Woman 1984 is a sequel-ish to Wonder Woman 2017, which it's not called Wonder Woman 2017, it's just that's the year that it came out. A little confusing. I mean, if aliens showed up and they're like,
which one comes first? Bleep, bloop, bleep, bleep. Travel billions of light years just to watch a movie.
Wonder Woman 2017. That is a movie within the Snyderverse that I actually didn't think was all that bad, especially the first two acts. I actually felt like it was kind of a movie that represented what Rogue One should have been. Ragtag team of memorable heroes going on a mission to accomplish stuff. I really enjoyed the fish out of water approach, and I liked the final speech. This one.
Maybe people aren't always good.
Not this one.
And I believe in love.
In my opinion, the last part of the movie really went off the rails. There is a new Wonder Woman movie that just came out. I was really excited to see this, not only because it came out directly on streaming, which means that I didn't have to deal with a single person in order to watch it, but also it looks pretty amazing. Patty Jenkins is back at the helm, Gal Gadot is back as Wonder Woman, and it has a pretty cool looking logo. What more could you want? So, is this movie everything that I have ever wanted in my life? Well, that's an unfair standard to set for a movie. Is it a movie that's worth the price of admission? A subscription to HBO Max, which, isn't that expensive of a thing, especially given the fact that it comes with a lot of extra stuff, mostly things about murder. I've watched so many shows about murder. Is this one of the Snyderverse movies that stand out, like Wonder Woman or Shazam or Aquaman? Or is this another Batman v Superman or Justice League? There's only one true way to find out, and that's to jump right into it. So, ladies and gentlemen, grab your lassos of truth and get ready for my, Movie Night Kevin review of Wonder Woman 1984. So the movie begins with
Some days my childhood feels so very far away.
voiceover, of course. It's the best kind of voiceover. I love when a movie feels the obligation to explain how linear time and memories work.
And the lessons that lay ahead yet unseen.
I remember when I was a kid, but not every single part of when I was a kid. I didn't know as much as I know now. Isn't that crazy?
Sometimes you can't see what you're learning until you come out the other side.
I have no inside scoop behind the scenes of this movie, but I would bet money this voiceover was added after the first test screening. Too many people wrote on their index card,
I wasn't quite sure who the little girl was at the beginning at first.
"Oh, we gotta fix that." Well, we open up with the epic Themyscira Games. We know it's epic because of the epic music that's playing in the background. These flyover shots really let me know that this is a gladiator-esque movie. I think these women are definitely gonna win the riding on two horses standing up competition. Yeehaw! Girl power! Yeehaw! What are these games? What is this? Well, at least they're playing to their audience. It looks like they're pretty impressed. These women who live on an island that's filled with goddesses can't even freaking believe that these other women can do amazing things. The stuff they're doing isn't even nearly as amazing as the things that a young Diana Prince can do. Because as we soon find out, she can compete with the leatheriest of them.
I can do it.
Just do your best.
Fight! And they're off! Alright, so we get this little gauntlet-type race where they run across some monkey bars and down these logs before Diana Pocahontases right off this cliff.
Show off.
I mean, this is a pretty cool, massive-looking set piece. I'll give it that. As she goes, we start to learn the rules of the game, while they reenact the opening of Chariots of Fire on horses, no less, they have to pick up these bows and shoot their specific color, is what it seems is happening here. I'm not sure I would know how amazing this character was if I didn't have a literal angel choir singing behind her. Well, as Diana rides across this green screen on her horse, we're introduced to a fatal flaw in her character. She keeps looking back behind her to make sure she's still winning. Obviously, she could just keep looking in front of her and see that nobody else is in front of her, and she would know the same thing. And this leads to her downfall. Oof! You think that's foreshadowing for her inability to look forward because she's constantly looking back? Gonna lead to her destruction? Let's find out. Oh man, I was really hoping she'd win this game that I just learned about. As you wish. What's this? A magical secret tunnel? Perhaps all hope isn't lost. Wonder Girl decides to go down the most painful slide of all time, which we find out later is actually breaking the rules, so it's a little less inspiring than Eric Little's triumphant recovery in Chariots of Fire. But as she makes it back to the arena, grabs the spear, and is about to throw it through the hole, she's stopped by Buttercup. No! Why? Those spears also killed 2 dolphin spectators, leading to the great wars between Themyscira and Atlantis. But you might be asking yourself, why? Why would Claire Underwood do this? Well, fortunately, she explains.
You took the short path.
You innovated, Diana, and that's bad.
You cheated, Diana. That is the truth. That is the only truth.
So help you God.
Because you are not ready to win.
Only when you are as old as me can you win, Diana.
Only in knowing the truth in your heart and not accepting it.
Would you like to pray that prayer with me right now, Diana? Would you like to accept the truth in your heart?
No true hero is born from lies.
Except for that one time when Jor-El and Lara lied and said they didn't have a son and sent him off into another planet. Ma and Pa Kent lied about where their son came from. All those times Bruce Wayne lied about who he really was. I'm just kidding. The reality is, while a bit on the nose, I do think that this is actually kind of a cool lesson for this movie. It's an interesting idea to explore. The idea of truth, especially when it comes to Wonder Woman, since her discovering the truth about humanity was a major part of her character arc in the last movie.
No, it has to be him. It cannot be them.
Diana.
She has the lasso of truth. Also, it kind of makes sense because this movie is, I assume, making a homage, so to speak, to 1984, which is a book that is all about powerful people manipulating truth in order to maintain power and control the population. And in this day and age, we have so many people talking about alternative facts and rigged elections and their own personal truth, other vague things I could say that won't sound like I'm taking any particular political side. I think truth is an excellent thing to explore. Let's see how Hollywood, the land of honesty and virtue, handle the idea. Shall we? Ow. Ouch, my braces. Ow.
Your time will come, Diana.
When?
When? I'm already 7 years old. I mean, it's basically over for me, especially since I'm immortal. You know, I've never thought about this before, but this movie has forced me to think about it. I feel like sequels that begin with flashbacks like this run the risk of feeling kind of like it's a cop-out. In a way, they kind of rob the audience of what they really came here to see, which is a natural progression of the character. It almost feels like there's a lack of confidence in the ability to challenge the character growth from the last movie. We want to see a sequel to Wonder Woman 2017, not a sequel to this 5-minute short at the beginning of your movie. Oh, before we leave this flashback, let's get a little advice from the Bob.
This world is not yet ready for all that you will do.
Cut to all she will do! Boy, I guess they really ramped up the world wars after the third one. Well, we are now introduced to what I can only describe as a third grader's interpretation of what they think the 80s were like, based on the couple of movies they were allowed to watch. People are just littering without a care in the world because they haven't seen Captain Planet yet. Wild cars just racing down the street. It's freaking chaos, probably because there just weren't enough regulations yet. We then see Pedro Pascal. Oh, he'll come up again, and he's all over the TV advertising for oil. There's only 3 channels back then, so what else are you gonna watch? Oil! It's everywhere! Get in on it while it's hot! Wonder Woman is going around saving people, but nobody can see her because the cameraman is only focusing on the bottom half of her body. Like a perv. probably. And speaking of pervs, we cut to this jazzercise class that's taking place in the middle of the mall, and all the men are like standing around looking at the women's butts. Now, why is it that in this movie it's okay, but in a Michael Bay movie then it's bad? This is probably the problem with society or something. Okay, so it's time for our first major action scene. And like a lot of the DC animated films, it starts with more low-level criminals for our superhero to fight. And they're holding up, what else but a jewelry store? This is a little bit of a bait and switch. It seems that the jewelry store is a front for black market antiquities being sold in the back.
Oh man, I'm such a history buff.
Bit of a risk to hide this kind of stuff in the mall. Who's running this black market operation anyway? I don't think we actually find out in the entire movie. But even worse looking Clint Eastwood and the gang get away with the robbery. I mean, according to IMDb, these guys have like supervillain-esque names. Call me a bad comic book fan, I dare you, but I've never really heard of them. But then this idiot, oops! I thought everyone in the 80s had guns. Hey, these guys have guns. Is that not scary for anyone? That's right. Stay woke, ladies and gentlemen. In a pre-9/11 world, all this running around the mall with guns was just so fun. Wow, this is so wacky.
We need the police here, right now.
But seeing that he may not make it out with the antiques, he decides to take desperate measures. Even Freddie Mercury can't stop him. He grabs his girl, he's gonna throw her over the edge, then everybody starts to improv.
Put the kid back. No.
I'd like to know about this teleporting lady. But that's when Wonder Woman, yeah, she's here. And then after flying in on a magic rope, tying up some of the bad guys and saving that girl, she decides to break some of the cameras. Now it's just property damage. But the mall probably has insurance, so who cares? Bleh. Sure, Wonder Woman takes out these robbers, but before she leaves, she makes her bravest move yet.
I hate guns. I hate guns.
Wonder Woman uses the power of Heelys. What? Is this Home Alone? Pepsi commercial? I guess this does a great job at establishing the tone of the film, which is wacky, bleh. I guess the taxpayers will pick up the tab on that destroyed police car. It's fine. It's cool. It's fine. It's fine.
Who exactly even stopped this crime? If the story around here is to be believed, it wasn't the police, but a mysterious female savior that multiple witnesses saw.
It really makes you wonder, doesn't it? Well, we cut back to Wonder Woman's apartment and wait, ew, she just leaves her water sitting out? That's disgusting. That's gross. I guess maybe because she's a goddess, she has a resistance to waterborne bacteria. All of these old pictures seem to indicate she truly does struggle with looking back. Well, at this point, we're about 18 minutes into this 2.5-hour-long movie. Yay! It's a fun ride so far. The more things that happen, the better. Later, Wonder Woman's trying to hail a cab, but she's having a hard time.
I'm sorry, I didn't see you there.
It's probably because she's a woman. Ugh, men, disgusting. Despite her having magical powers and she could probably just 2 jumps and be at her apartment, she's definitely the oppressed one in this situation. All right, guys, enough with all of that. It is time for us to get introduced to this nerd who just doesn't get no respect around here.
Jake, hi, can you...
Her name is Selena Kyle. I mean, Edward Nygma. I mean, Max Dillon. I meant to say Eldritch Killian. Barbara Minerva. Got it. But unlike those other movies that I referenced just now, this movie totally subverts your expectations. Usually with this character that they put in movies for some reason all the time, you have somebody, typically the good guy, not giving them the time of day or ignoring them or being mean to them or some kind of misunderstanding where they're like, how come you never believed in me? It kind of shows how like even the hero can become prideful, lose sight of who they really are, lose sight of themselves in the midst of all their success. But this movie, they don't do that. Instead, they just make the hero super perfect.
Good morning. Thank you.
She's so extremely nice, which is fine. You should be nice to people, but that gives Barbara, like, literally no motivation for becoming what we all know she's gonna become later.
Do you happen to know who a Barbara Minerva is?
Oh, hi, Carol. Hi. Started last week.
Oh!
Well, they put Barbara in charge of figuring out what's the deal with all this crap stolen from the jewelry store. Stolen by the government! Because they work at the Smithsonian, and none of the stuff is evidence. It's just going to the museum, because it's old. All of the priceless and secret artifacts are stored right here behind the glass, where the public can easily observe. Look, I've never been to the Smithsonian, as I mentioned before. I've never really been out of the house, but this can't be what it's like, right? Maybe it is. But I bet it's not. That's when they find this stone. A magic stone? Or maybe just a regular stone?
I think the technical term here is extremely lame.
Let's find out together after these messages. As Diana whispers the inscription,
Place upon the object held.
this guy in the background uses his super hearing to eavesdrop. Nice to know director Patty Jenkins at least carried over her apparent lack of amplitude awareness from the previous film.
And I believe in love.
They conclude that the stone says it grants wishes.
I really wish I had a coffee.
Hey, I got Erica a coffee, but she's out sick. Does anybody want this?
What? Yeah, I'll take one.
We all know what she's gonna wish for because she's constantly looking back, and that's gonna be her downfall, isn't it? She wants her boyfriend back. But that doesn't happen right now because her wish doesn't come true right away like the coffee guys did, because the rules for the stone are kind of just
Whatever's convenient for the plot.
Anyway, let's get back to Wonder Woman being extremely nice to her future enemy.
You know, we could go and grab early dinner and talk about exactly how lame that stone is. Right?
So lame.
Dorky.
Lame.
Yeah,
It's
let's
like
go.
the lamest lame.
Meanwhile, I made my boyfriend reappear. But that doesn't happen right now, so let's just... All right, cut back to their little lunch date.
No one's made me laugh like this in such a long time.
You don't get out?
No, really.
'Cause you just seem like the kind of person who's like always out. Like people are asking you to go out all the time and you live out and you're just out.
You know, now that you've put being out in our heads, let's make sure that we all know that these two characters are not gay, even though we wrote this scene to feel like a date.
Have you ever been in love?
A long, long time ago.
Where'd he go? Your guy? Your guy.
Thank you. Oh gosh, Nah, I couldn't do that. Well, later that evening, Barbara's walking alone at night through D.C. Washington, D.C., not the D.C. cinematic universe, but I guess technically that too.
Hey, Leon.
Hey there, Bob.
And she's nice enough to help out this homeless man who happens to be reading Waiting for Godot. That's funny. Fun little Easter egg. I'm sure that shows up and...
The 4,000 things you probably missed in Wonder Woman 1984 because you're an idiot.
Well, Barbara continues walking alone in the dark night. And it's fine. It's perfectly fine for her to be doing this. It's fine. I'm not victim blaming. It's good. You go, girl. You're a strong, powerful, independent woman. But that's when she passes Columbo, I think, sitting on a bench.
I'm fine, thank you.
Hey!
What's gonna happen? Well, fortunately, that's when an actual strong, powerful woman shows up to save her. And that's when our hero of truth tells a lie.
Forgot my keys.
Diana, no hero ever was born out of lies.
How did you... Simple self-defense. Used his own momentum against him. I'll teach you.
No true hero is born from lies.
Well, seeing Diana's bravery in a moment where she felt powerless, Barbara has another moment of weakness where she seeks her own power. She returns to the Smithsonian to find the magical wishing stone, and she wishes that she could be like Diana,
To be like Diana.
not realizing that she's actually wishing to be Wonder Woman. Well, the next day, Barbara wakes up, and boy, is she surprised. She realizes things are different. We know this because of all the pizzicatos playing in the background.
Thank God you're good in heels.
What? What's that supposed to mean, you disgusting perv? Men are so disgusting, I think. But the janitor isn't the only one who's finally noticing Barbara. In fact, her newfound amazingness lands her a friendship with none other than Maxwell Lord.
A pleasure.
Don't know who that is.
Life is good, but it can be better.
You're the oil guy.
The oil guy.
And she is so taken with this guy because apparently the wish didn't include Diana's skepticism either.
He's announcing it at tonight's members gala.
It's going to be an amazing party. I hope you have something nice to wear.
I actually tend to skip these events.
What? I like him.
Well, now that we've met this character, it only makes sense that we follow him around and learn everything about him all of a sudden. It turns out he's not just the Hispanic Lex Luthor that you might have thought. Mex Luthor. Maxwell Luthor. He also fills the absent father just trying to get his son's attention archetype.
Well, it takes time to become a great #1 man like your dad is going to be.
And he's a shady businessman. Wow, what a twist.
You have 48 hours to get my money.
Meanwhile, or later or something, Diana starts to have her suspicions about the magic stone for no reason. And so she checks the box and finds there happens to be a receipt in the box from the guy she literally just met. All right, well, let's head over to the big Smithsonian donor party. Diana has decided that she is going to show up to it. And I'm glad. I'm really glad. That way she can do this trailer shot of her almost exposing herself. Such legs. They go on for decades.
Oh, wait. They stop right there.
At the party, we get more gawking men, of course. Blech. Hey, look, is that Tim Burton in the background? Maybe he's here to say, like, hey, guys, I already made this villain in 1992. And in comes new and improved Barbara, who also draws the male gaze. This is where we get more proof to my theory that Patty Jenkins doesn't understand how audio and volume and sound waves work.
God, it's so loud in here.
Can we go somewhere? Your office?
What? She has her own office and she just started working there? That's weird and convenient. Well, while in her office, Max Lord steals the wishing stone by using the old hide it behind your back trick. That's sneaky. Meanwhile, at the party, Diana's wish comes true. Remember? She made a wish, and we didn't know what it was, but we did know what it was. This strange guy who isn't Steve Trevor is like following her around, and she's like, get the heck away from me. But then we get this amazing special effect, which reveals that it actually is Steve Trevor. Boom! He's here! But only to her eyes, we find out later.
He's got it.
All I see is you.
Only I can see the more famous but less attractive actor. That's weird. Kind of, I think. Nobody else in the movie ever makes a wish and just they see it. That would be an interesting plot point. I guess it would be kind of like Scarecrow, where everybody just sees their wish and their truth, but they don't do that. She's the only one that this happens to. If they're gonna do the wishes, okay, fine. I don't love it, but whatever. But there are so many other ways to bring him back. I thought that they were gonna bring him back because he was swimming around in that pool and maybe he like gained immortality through that. I don't know why. I find wishes dumb in a superhero movie, but swinging from a magic rope is fine. I just do, okay? And you're not gonna change my mind.
You went to my apartment?
Followed you. Like a creep.
Which is kind of par for the course for guys in this movie, so. Cut back to Maxwell Lord, who is about to make his wish. When you wish upon a stone, he makes what is probably, in my opinion, the riskiest wish.
I'm Risky Rat.
I wish to be you, the dream stone itself.
What? What the heck? What are you doing? That's a dumb wish, right? He could end up as a paperweight for the rest of his life. Why would you wish that? But fortunately, because the plot demands it, that's not exactly what happens. That wouldn't make for an interesting movie, and we've got writers on the case who are gonna make sure that we don't end up watching an uninteresting movie, right? Meanwhile, Barbara Manatee is over here having a classic Peter Parker figuring out his powers moment. And the dream team can't even freaking believe it. Now I know what you're thinking. What the heck does being the wishing stone even entail? Because the concept is so stupid. Why would you even put that in a movie? So the rules are, you as the wishing stone have to convince people to touch you. Not in a weird way. And then trick them or convince them to make a wish while they're touching you.
I wished that black gold would change the world for all of us. Of course I wish that too. Then your wish is granted.
And then you get to take whatever you want from them.
And in return, I'll take all of your shares.
It's like the monkey's paw story. Is that contrived enough for you folks? Well, let's check back to see what Diana and Steve are doing. Oh my! They got married?
I should probably go and figure out how a stone brought my boyfriend back in someone else's body.
That's a fair point. Let's go.
Of course, they could go find out about that really important thing right now, but why when you could just waste our time with several hilarious montage sequences?
So you said a stone started all of this.
Yeah, that's what we need to go and find out.
Remember, that's why we got out of bed just 5 seconds ago?
I think we can do better.
Bow wow. Chicka, chicka, chicka. Bow wow.
Parachute pants?
Yeah.
Does everybody parachute? You are, but you know, I'm ready to go. Right?
No.
I guess this just goes to show you that even good actors can suck at improv.
I feel like a pirate. Who would wear this?
Then we take a casual stroll around DC with him discovering things about the 80s. Oh boy. Why does Diana have this look on her face like she invented all of this stuff? Because as far as I know, she didn't.
Is that a plane?
No, Steve, that's actually just a painting.
I want to show you something.
I thought they had to go get the stone. What are they waiting for? Remember in the last movie when the roles were reversed and she was the fish out of water?
Gentlemen, eyes to yourself. Thank you so much.
You felt rushed. You felt like there was tension. Sure, they had a trying on clothes montage, but it served a purpose. They were trying to find a disguise for her because they were in the middle of a war. So she couldn't stop and observe and enjoy this kind of thing. This isn't interesting at all because it's boring. Apparently they do have time. There's no tension here. It just feels obligatory, like, well, we're in the 80s, and so we should probably point out that we're the 80s. Hey, look, 80s, remember? I could probably do a whole video breakdown on just these two scenes and why the first movie, it worked, and in this movie, it doesn't. But unlike this movie, I won't waste your time for now. But when they finally get to the stone, Barbara tells them that the stone is gone.
What? Why?
I've got 15 things in my office more valuable than that stone.
Well, I guess she didn't get Diana's smarts either. So they head over to try to break into Maxwell Lord's office to figure out where that stone is. You guys sure you don't want to stop by and get ice cream first? But breaking in turns out to be a little harder than they thought. It looks like Diana is losing her powers. I guess the stone just takes things from people at an arbitrary rate as well. I don't know, maybe the rock's made out of arbitrarium. Well, that's when we find out that Maxwell has been looking for the stone for a long time.
Whatever this is, he's been looking for a long time.
And I guess that answers all of the possible criticisms you might have about him, where he found the stone, and how he could know its location at all times. Get over it, Kevin. Gods did it. It's gods. Also, while in the office, Diana finally finds the one ring that used to be around the stone to rule them all.
Looked like you saw a ghost.
There were many gods.
There were many rings of power.
They did different things for different reasons.
Oh, things, you say?
One was making objects like this.
And two, we'll save for the sequel.
They're universal elements in this world, and when they're imbued into something, they can become very powerful.
Boy, that is quite the convenient plot point.
Like my lasso, truth. The truth is what powers it, not me.
Wow, the power of her lasso comes from Jesus Christ of Nazareth? So apparently, things can be infused with powers like truth, justice, and the American way. And this wishing stone is one of those things. But what fruit of the spirit was this stone infused with? They try to figure it out.
Love or,
joy?
Hope?
No. That would connect too easily to the character development of the previous film, and we wouldn't want to do that, would we? Well, that's when they finally realize that they have to go to Egypt to stop Max, which should be pretty easy for them because they have a pilot. And of course, this guy can fly a fighter jet because he flew prop planes that were invented 15 years after flight was discovered. Sure, he couldn't figure out that an exercise bike wasn't for transportation, but this should be fine, right? There's no way. There's no way.
The way I fly, they will never find us.
I forgot to tell you.
What?
Radar.
Fortunately, the writers find a magical way to get around this problem, too. Hey, comic book fans, remember the invisible jet? Remember?
My father hid the Themyscira from the world, and I've been trying to learn how we did it.
Did what?
Made something invisible.
Convenient. Then we get another really long scene of them not in danger at all. I can show you the world.
What's that?
I think he would know about fireworks. There's no hurry, it's fine, everything's fine. Just flying around. Man, this movie sucks at tension building. I hate it.
I got an idea.
Let's just burn up all our jet fuel. Anyway, this scene goes on for about 20 minutes. Steve explains to Diana about how farts work.
It's wind and air.
I'll never understand it.
Meanwhile, Barbara's taking out her revenge on that guy from the park because he didn't learn his lesson. She proceeds to beat the crap out of him. Apparently, the monkey's paw wish trade-off was that she wanted to become like Diana, then she loses her niceness. I really think that as a writer, anytime that you can make your audience relate with the bad guy, you should. It's frustrating when you have a bad guy who's just like, I want to take over the world! Not because you want people to relate to evil, but it's good to have a character who's more complex, because people are complex. It serves as a cautionary tale, and it gives the audience something to think about. What would they do in this situation if they were this character? Internal conflict creates depth of the character, and what's so weird is this movie has already established that kind of thing. She is a nice person. We saw her be nice earlier. Why not make that her motivation for her misguided deeds? Maybe she gets Diana's powers and she's like, holy crap, Diana has these powers and yet there's still famine and war and evil in the world. She's doing nothing to stop it. That's a much more interesting motivation to the character and something that we could all relate to. But no, instead she's just, I lost my ability to be nice and now I'm evil now.
What are you doing?
Mind your business.
Cut to Maxwell, who's having a meeting with the King of Crude. Sounds like a late night host. He's the King of Crude. He's not quite ready for prime time. That's when everything goes wrong. Maxwell, of course, convinces him to make a wish.
I wish for all of my land to be returned, and for all the heathens who dare trod upon it to be kept out forever.
Thus giving Max the ability to take a bunch of crap.
The government is reporting old rulings have emerged acknowledging his claim to the land.
Boy, things are getting crazy now.
But never fear, Wonder Woman is here.
You okay?
I guess I kind of wish we hadn't wasted all that time touring the Smithsonian or flying through those fireworks, because then we could have stopped this like way earlier. But just then, they pass Max's convoy, and we get the most amazing action sequence ever known put to film.
I got this.
What?
Where was she hiding those clothes? Holy crap. That's great. That's very good. Very well done. Left Wonder Woman's running along the road. She sees these guys with the guns. She jumps up out of the car. She rips that steering wheel right off of that their car. Steve Trevor's like, what the heck? Doesn't he remember watching her fight a god? But then the worst thing happens. Somebody shoots a bullet at Steve and she misses it, but don't worry. Oh, I love it. I love it. It's great. It's amazing. That's when Wonder Woman whipped this guy up there, man. I thought I was whipped, but she whipped a muzzle flashback, so she turns into Keanu Reeves and gets up under that there truck. Oh, wait. Things start to get real wild then. Woo-hoo. Trevor, he climbs up onto the truck and he starts jumping on this gun. That's when Wonder Woman says to herself, wait a minute, I'm in a comic book film, and no comic book film would be complete without a truck flip! Oh, yeah! Whoa, whoa, whoa. Well, if you think that's the most ridiculous thing that's gonna happen in this chase scene, well, you forgot about the children!
Won't somebody please think of the children?
Not the children! No! Don't worry, Steve's got a great plan for that. He sets off this rocket like a ball of rocket. She latches onto it, and then is able to fly and grab the children. Ouch, my spine! Whoa! Amazing! What an amazing movie. In 2021, these are the special effects that we got. Cool. After saving the kids, she reminds them to be sure to lie about it. Now the whole world is falling apart, which we learn about on this really bad news report.
Shocking news that American businessman Max Lord has somehow come into possession of over half of the world's oil reserves.
Now it's the part of the movie where we learn about the stone. We get about 20 minutes of exposition about the stone. I'm sure any criticisms I've had is all answered in this whole segment, but I'm gonna skip it. Meanwhile, Max is trying to answer the wishes of a bunch of different people. He's got them lined up outside of his office and he's having them come in, but he's getting real frustrated because he's like, man, I just wish I could answer everybody's wish so I could have all the power in all the world. Oh, and also in this, they remind you that he has a son. Don't forget he has a son. I don't know if that's gonna come back in an emotional way, but we'll see. Well, outside, things are getting real crazy because Max has started answering a bunch of people's wishes and they've wished for some crazy stuff. It's just all very crazy. And, so he goes to see the president. There we go. Well, back at Wonder Woman's apartment, there happens to be a nod for the fanboys hidden in the corner.
What's that?
The armor of an ancient Amazon warrior.
Hopefully that comes into play in the grand finale of the movie.
The lasso does more than just make you tell the truth. It can make you see it too.
Oh, can it now? Isn't that convenient? Wonder Woman uses the power of the lasso of truth to show Steve Trevor and us the intro to The Lord of the Rings. Yeah, I know all about this. Spock did this to me when I was in Star Trek. Just one of the many contrivances of this magic rope. Meanwhile, Maxwell Lord goes to have a little visit with the president.
Everything okay, Mr. President?
How did he get in there? I can't remember. For a movie that's supposed to be all about telling the truth, they sure get Reagan completely wrong. But of course, Max somehow convinces him to make a wish.
You are a man of faith. I want to share my blessing with you. What do you wish for?
More nuclear weapons, more than they have. Closer to them.
I don't know. I'm not like a Reagan apologist or whatever, but it's not Trump. It's Reagan. He's a different guy. Reagan was an extremely popular person, and it wasn't because he wanted war all the time. He was called the Great Communicator. He wasn't a bumbling idiot. And in return, he takes all of the powers of the President of the United States of America. Yeah, but in the 80s, that wasn't a whole lot of power.
No taxes, no rule of law, no limits.
Oh, great. He's gonna create an Irandian libertarian dystopia. Also, it just so happens that in the Oval Office, there are these charts that explain the special operation that they can use satellites to take over every piece of electronics in the universe and broadcast directly to the people.
You said touches?
Get ready for the rules of the universe to change again. My favorite thing.
It's a figure of speech, but yes.
Apparently now, he doesn't have to touch people, it just has to be a metaphorical touching. Cyber touching! So now Maxwell makes his way to the cyber broadcast touching machine. On the way, Wonder Woman attempts to stop him, but she's interrupted by none other than... Barbara. Now it's time for a girl fight!
Turns out wishing to be like you came with some surprises.
The Wonder Woman starts running, and so does the Cheetah starts running. So they have a big long fight for a while, and then they try to explain things.
You've always had everything, while people like me have had nothing. Well, now it's my turn, and you are not taking it from me.
Oh, is that her motivation? All right, well, you know what I think the movie's missing? A big, long explanation from Wonder Woman, who is awkwardly posed in the Tila al Ghul dying position. Why? I don't know.
If it's the monkey's paw, it takes as much as it gives.
Forget about me. What is it costing you?
Seeing herself in the mirror causes Diana to realize that she needs to lead by example and renounce her wish, which means that she'll lose the one thing she loves, that guy only she can see. And you know what happens next, because you've seen this scene a million times. It's the long goodbye speech that they happen to have time for. She walks away, and we hear some ADR of some other actor saying that he'll always love her.
I'll always love you, Diana.
I'll love you forever. I'll love you for always. As long as I'm living, my Wonder Woman you'll be. All right, well, I'm ready for the big grand finale. Are we ready for that? Let's get into the final act of the movie. Diana jumps really high, like higher than a tall building over a single bound. And she remembers what Steve said before about farts.
It's only wind and air.
Let me get this long scene of her like learning to fly or something. This movie has a real problem with once they're in the air, flying, they forget about all the tension in the movie. Okay, well, when that is finally over, cut back to Maxwell Lord and Barbara in a helicopter where he's able to apparently grant her another wish.
I want to be number one, an apex predator.
I want to be Free Willy. Well, we get the big address to the nation and everybody starts getting what they wish for. But careful what you wish for, you just might get it. Just might get it.
I wish you dropped dead!
Then we get the golden armor. Yeah. Then we find out what Barbara meant when she said she wants to be an apex predator.
Barbara, what did you do?
Barbara has become a cast member of Cats. But Barbara refuses to renounce her wish, which means Wonder Woman grabs her by the scruff of the neck and throws her into water. But even at that point, Barbara won't renounce her wish.
Please renounce your wish. It's over.
This leaves Wonder Woman with no other choice but to electrocute her. Judge, jury, and electrocutioner. Now that she defeated Barbara, it's time for her to go fight the big boss. You get the idea, it's just a big swinging a rope around. Oh, time for the join me, and we can rule the galaxy as Father and Wonder.
Join me!
What the heck is even happening now? So glad we're getting another leaning up against the wall in an awkward pose speech.
I've never wanted anything more.
Well then, and that's when she explains. And over-explains. And over-explains what truth is. This literally, I think, is Hollywood trying to figure out this magical, mystical thing called truth.
It's like this weird thing,
And you cannot have it all. You can only have the truth.
You can't stop me!
I wasn't talking to you.
Oh, snap! She tricked us! Apparently, another thing that her whip can do. All right, well, time for her to explain some more and explain and explain. Oh, and we also get this flashback of Max. Apparently, he peed the bed as a kid, so that's interesting. Wow, it all makes sense now. And then Max yells, Alistair.
Alistair! Alistair! Alistair!
Save him, Max.
Alistair, I renounce my wish!
I declare bankruptcy!
And everything starts to disappear. Everyone starts accepting truth into their hearts.
I renounce my wish.
أنا آسف. Pack my wish.
Then Max yells, Alistair some more?
Alistair! Alistair! Alistair!
Before reenacting the ending of Homeward Bound. Shut up! And he learns to love his son again. Oh, and also, since this is a superhero movie, we have to have a post-credit sequence, and we get a cameo from our old friend, the Amazonian hot wax herself, Linda Carter. Bravo. 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 Well, there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. That was Wonder Woman 1984. And what did I think of it? Well, honestly, it kind of sucked. Now, I know that's not a hot take. I can't avoid the YouTube recommended videos. I saw that a lot of people were saying that there's a lot of bad stuff with the movie, but I wanted to take an open mind, and I genuinely took an open mind approach to this film because I was genuinely excited about seeing it. I didn't want it to be bad, and I can see how a lot of people would really enjoy this movie. You know, it's fun. It's fun, and if you can look past a lot of the contrivancies and stuff and say, look, this is a DC movie. They're not always very good, but this one is better than a lot of them. But for me, it just doesn't do what the first Wonder Woman did, which is too bad because if I'm being honest, I feel like it kind of reveals some of the cracks of the previous film. There were a lot of good ideas in this movie, almost too many good ideas, but still, like, good concepts that were not fleshed out very well. There's some really silly fight scenes. The special effects were, like, for 2020, what? And then the writing was very clunky. For you, maybe this is everything you ever wanted in a superhero movie, but for me, it was a major disappointment. I really wanted to like this movie, and in the end, I didn't enjoy it.
Lame. Dorky.
Lame.
Yeah, let's
it's like
go.
the lamest lames.
I try not to nitpick when I watch a movie, especially for the first time. But when a movie has too many contrivances, it forces me to start, like, questioning, why would they do this? What's the motivation for this? This is weird. And I end up nitpicking. I really do. And that's what this movie did to me, and I blame the movie for that. And that's my story. It's not a pretty one, but it's mine. Thanks for watching, ladies and gentlemen. Good night.
Guys, thank you so much for watching, and a huge shout out to the people who pledge over at SGK Plus and or Patreon. The Voicey Here YouTube channel, Stephen Felly, Jacob and Emily Rugrock, Amanda Stewart, Isa Kabir, James Tuttle, and Lindsay Dunn at oneofmystories.com.
I think the technical term here is extremely lame.